Lena Whitmore had never planned to take a DNA test. It was her younger sister's idea, a holiday whim to learn more about their ancestry, to trace some family roots back to the old villages in Wales or maybe France. But when Lena received the email with her results, nothing about it made sense. There was no sign of Welsh or French ancestry. Instead, she had dozens of genetic matches, half-siblings, scattered across the country, their surnames unfamiliar, their faces uncannily similar. She stared at the list, her stomach churning. At the top of the shared matches was a man named Dr. Malcolm Greaves, a retired fertility specialist in Briar Hill, Colorado, whose name she recognized instantly. He was the doctor who had helped her mother conceive her, the man who had given lectures on ethics and hope in reproductive medicine. And now, without warning, he was in her DNA. Lena confronted her mother, June, who had just brewed chamomile tea and was folding laundry. The color drained from her mother's face when Lena mentioned the name Malcolm Greaves. "I don't know what to tell you," June whispered, her eyes glossy with shock. "He was the one who helped us. We selected a donor, someone who matched your father's traits. Your father was so excited. He even picked the donor ID himself." Lena felt a cold wave crash through her. "You're saying he wasn't the donor? Greaves was." June sat down heavily, holding her tea with trembling hands. "He promised anonymity, professionalism. He said he'd give us the best chance. I trusted him. We all did." Within days, Lena found a private online group, Children of Dr. Greaves. The group had been quietly growing as more individuals discovered the same horror. They were all the biological offspring of a man who was supposed to be nothing more than a medical facilitator. Some had known about their origins. Others, like Lena, had grown up believing they were conceived from anonymous donors or even from their fathers. One by one, the stories spilled out. Rachel, a litigation attorney from New York, discovered she had 38 half-siblings. Tom, a biology teacher from Seattle, had spent years wondering why he looked nothing like his parents. And then there was Ellie from Austin, who had met Dr. Greaves at a conference years ago, never knowing he was her biological father. Their lives had been intertwined by a lie none of them had consented to. Rachel was the first to file a class action lawsuit against Dr. Greaves, citing emotional distress, breach of informed consent, and medical malpractice. The press caught wind within a week. Headlines screamed, "Fertility doctor fathered 40-plus children using own sperm." Cameras camped outside Dr. Greaves' estate in the affluent Briar Hill Hills. He issued a statement through his lawyer, a vague, cold declaration denying wrongdoing, insisting the children were all healthy and wanted. But for the families, the issue wasn't genetics, it was betrayal. It was the quiet destruction of trust that no legal argument could repair. Lena drove to Briar Hill Medical Center, where Dr. Greaves had worked for 30 years. The facility had changed since he retired, now under new management and branding. But the archives were still there, boxed and yellowed in the hospital's sublevel records room. With help from Rachel's legal contacts, Lena gained access. She sifted through donor records, patient notes, fertility logs. Her mother's file was there, formally labeled donor match number 3021. Blonde hair, green eyes, O positive. But there was no vial trace, no lab entry, no signature from any technician. Just a hand-scribbled note beside the insemination date. Dr. G. She found the same mark in dozens of other files. Dr. G. The signature of a man who had played God in secret. As more children stepped forward, so did the parents. Devastated mothers, betrayed fathers, couples who had saved for years to afford treatment at Briar Hill. In court, their voices trembled with fury and grief. "I paid to be violated," one mother cried. "He stole from us, from our child." Several of the fathers had suffered depression after learning they were not biologically related to the children they had raised with love. Others refused to speak at all, too humiliated to face the public eye. For them, Greaves' actions had not just been about biology. It had been about ownership, deception, and the quiet death of trust between doctor and patient. Dr. Greaves vanished from public view. The mansion was shuttered. Reporters speculated he had moved to a family-owned lodge in Wyoming. Some said he had fled the country altogether. A deposition date was set, but Greaves failed to appear, citing severe psychological distress. The media turned ruthless. Former patients recounted eerie consultations, Greaves offering to personally oversee inseminations, claiming his method guaranteed a special bond. One whistleblower, a former nurse, told investigators she once saw Greaves take a vial from the staff fridge and disappear into his private lab. "He always said he was a man of science," she said. "Turns out, he was experimenting on hope." With mounting pressure, an independent investigation was launched by the state medical board. DNA test kits from over 70 suspected children were submitted to a private forensic lab. 44 were confirmed matches to Greaves. The board labeled it the most egregious breach of ethics in modern American reproductive medicine. But Greaves had covered his tracks too well for criminal charges at first. There was no explicit law in Colorado that banned a doctor from using his own genetic material at the time the crimes occurred. He had operated in a gray zone, morally bankrupt, but legally ambiguous. Finally, the civil case against Greaves reached trial. Families flew in from all over the country. Lena sat behind her mother, clutching a photo of her childhood with the man she once believed to be her father. Greaves entered the courtroom flanked by his lawyers, thin and frail, but still carrying that air of untouchable superiority. He refused to make eye contact with anyone. When questioned, he claimed he had acted in the best interests of his patients. He described himself as a pioneer, dismissing the trauma as unfortunate misunderstandings. The courtroom erupted in fury. One plaintiff fainted. Another yelled, "You robbed us of choice." It wasn't until June Whitmore, Lena's mother, stood and sobbed, "You stole my daughter's face," that Greaves showed any hint of emotion. The jury deliberated for less than 2 days. They found Dr. Malcolm Greaves guilty of medical malpractice, fraud, and infliction of emotional distress. Though he avoided criminal conviction due to the legal loopholes, the civil penalties were severe. He was ordered to pay $9.2 million in damages to the families. His license, though long retired, was permanently revoked. The judge's closing statement echoed through the courtroom. "This was not medicine. This was manipulation. What you practiced was not healing. It was desecration." This story is a haunting reminder that trust in medicine is sacred, and when that trust is violated, the consequences ripple through generations. At the heart of this tragedy is not just a betrayal of science, but of humanity. Patients were robbed of their right to informed consent, children were denied the truth of their origins, and families were unknowingly entangled in a web of deception. Medical ethics must never be optional. Subscribe to the White Coat Crimes for more shocking true stories, medical crimes, medical mysteries, and the dark side of healthcare you were never meant to see.